Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm sitting with Henry Jonker from Jonker Adventures. Wonderful family. They're Afrikaans. They live in the Western Cape area, and they enjoy doing the overlanding vibe as much as all of us do. So I hope you enjoy listening and getting some tips from families that are overlanding, which is a big deal. And Henry, thanks very much for signing in and doing this with me.
Hey, Anton. Yeah, it's a privilege being here, and I look forward to the chat, brother.
Yeah, very cool. I totally agree. So I think one of the big things to start chatting about is traveling with families is or can be a challenge. Now you have two very active boys. I know they keep you up at night, and I know they keep you busy during the day. How do you overland in a vehicle for 3, 4, 5 hours driving with two boys that just want to move their legs all the time?
Yeah, I think, Anton, initially when I started traveling with the boys, my thought process was it's going to be difficult because how do you entertain them, as you say, for 3, 4 hours during long rides? And initially I thought about taking technology with me, tablets, the traditional stuff. And then at a point I just decided, you know what? I'm going to not take this stuff. I'm going to take a chance and not take it. And honestly, I think once I decided not to take technology on the trips, the boys actually was interacting more with each other and with mom and dad in the front of the vehicle. But more importantly, actually enjoying what is happening outside the windows. I remembered like yesterday when we did the Kalahari, sorry.
Yeah.
And they loved the game drives. Every morning it was like a big rush to just get them to get us out of the tent because the boys just wants to go and do game drives. And I actually find it much easier without the technology. And so yeah, I think so for us, for them, as soon as they can move, then they're happy.
I completely agree. I think I find that. Sorry, just hang on. Kayla, I'm busy, my girl. Just wait, please. Sorry, Henry, my daughter's rocked up now. Give me a few minutes.
It's part of lockdown, my brother.
Yeah, man. Jeez, I have a daughter, so I have to do it. Eh? No, Kayla, I'm busy. Please.
Mom said I look like Slash.
Slash, the guitarist. Yes, that's random. Okay, so I must agree with you. If there's this lingering hint of technology, the kids kind of wait for it. If you just shut it out from the beginning, there is no phone, there is no iPad, there is no doing this. They kind of move on and they just enjoy what they're doing. And I completely agree with you. That's exactly what I do now. I take my iPad in case I have to do a little bit of work if there is signal, but I don't necessarily hang on it unless it's late at night. I can't sleep, then I'll watch something on it. But during the day, couldn't be bothered. I mean, I'm not OCD about this, but what I don't do is I don't have items in my vehicle, for example, where you can get those Victrons that use Bluetooth to see what your battery's doing. I don't even want to do that. I kind of steer away from it. I was given a C-Tech battery monitor and by Jason at Innertech because I was having a few issues on my cranking battery dropping. And I put that in, and I found myself looking at this, staring at this battery monitor. So I'm just proving to myself that if you have the technology sitting around you, you actually just want to look at it all the time. And I don't want to be outdoors to look at technology. So I completely agree. So I'm going to ask you a big question now: is how do you drive long distance with the boys? What do you do to keep them mentally stimulated in the vehicle for so long?
Brother, I'm a big country fan, and my boys are big country fans as well. We love country music, and my wife, I think she gets 17 heart attacks during a trip because she's not a big a country fan. But honestly, I think my boys love music. They honestly love music. And as soon as the tunes are great, and then they're easy. And I try to break up my trip. We're not big, we're not long haulers, so we can't do long hauls in one go. So we try to break up our trips with plus minus four hours max.
Yes.
Per day. In the event, if we do big touring, then I'll push for 8 hours. But if we do the 8 hour trip, I'll try to get on the road by 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock to get 3 hours to get the boys to sleep for 3 hours.
Yes.
But generally, it's just honestly try to keep my trips at a 4 hour break, and then to stop as frequently as possible because they love chowing. Damn.
Well, they're
Honestly,
burning it, dude. They're busy burning it somewhere.
yes, honestly, my wife can't stay ahead. She tries her best making some of the greatest food for us on the road, but as soon as we leave the gate of the house, 10 minutes later, they want to know what's there to eat, man. So, and then honestly, at a certain point, because they are boys, they are getting into each other's spaces. Then it's honestly that indication to me, stop and get them out of the vehicle and let them stretch their legs. But in general, honestly, I don't think it's that difficult to travel with kids. I think people have a perception that it's difficult to travel with them. I think if you take all the variables away, because if you're gonna take all that stuff away and you keep it as simple as possible, as you said earlier, like for example, we went camp in the early days. We camped with friends that brought technology with. We had the biggest fights at night because my sons don't have technology now. They want to be part of that tablet or that phone.
Yes.
So now these days, if we go with friends and we do big touring and all of that, it's a simple case. Nobody brings any tech along. And the kids are forced to play with each other. And at a point when we start, especially when we do big touring, they start swapping this around in the vehicles.
Yeah.
So my boys will suddenly start traveling with a friend of mine. Their boys will start getting in the cruiser. And that also helps a lot. So to separate because the one is there's a 4-year gap between the two. And so it helps when they start traveling with their own mates.
That sounds pretty epic. And I've never met your wife, but Marie looks like a complete trooper. I mean, she would have to be having 3 boys in a house. I mean, how does she? I think you've told me that she's in the food industry. So I mean, how do you guys plan your meals when you're out camping? I mean, do you pre-cook? Do you take veggies along? How does it work? I mean, can you give me like a 2-3 minute insight into who does the planning and who does the cooking? Okay,
that's straightforward. For us, yes, Marley is in the fruit industry. So first of all, we're very limited to the period of time that we can travel. So June, July is always our best time to travel as a family.
Okay.
But for us, when we go touring, the sequence is very simple. Myself and the boys will get the 80 series ready for and get all his battle gear on and all of that kind of stuff. And then we leave all the bedding and the food components. That is all part of Marley's section. So in the beginning, when we started traveling and all that, we did the typical breakfast with eggs and sausages and that old Scottle-Bry thing.
Yes.
And but if you're traveling for 3 weeks and you are sleep go, where the longest day that you sleep at one place is 1 day,
correct,
that becomes a hassle. So you try to simplify your life and the vehicle in such a way that when you wake up, it's breakfast and you can leave within an hour or hour and a half. So breakfast for us is quite simple. It's cereal for the boys, and we will do rusk and coffee. So we will probably have 2 cups of coffee before we head out. And then when the boys do their cereal in the mornings, Mom will start prepping sandwiches, either sandwiches for lunch, or we'll start getting out meat, sausages that perhaps we'll do a braai next to the road. So lunch is usually just more a snack component. During lunchtime, we'll get out meat for the evening because all the meat will be frozen. So
yes,
as South Africans, 90% of the time we make fire at the evenings.
No, that's
so
true.
It's anything it's anything from making bread. So I'm very fortunate. We travel with guys that really love making food. That it's one of those funny things where when we travel, the ladies in the evenings actually do the least because the guys wants to make bread and they want to do all these food options at night. So
yes,
it's a time for the ladies to really just relax with something cold in their hands. And so 90% of the time at night, it's usually we braai. and putting anything that we can get hold of, putting on the fire. Vegetables, we try we try to get the boys their greens in, but honestly, we try we try to keep it as fresh. The fresh stuff always goes first in the first week
Yes.
or week and a half.
Yes.
And then where we can get new stuff on the road, we'll get. But it's more a fresh salad that we try to do. And if we do vegetables, it will be on the fire.
Oh, that's fair enough. I mean, you can do quite a bit on the fire with a bit of tin foil and stuff like that. I mean, I do a fair amount of bread myself, and I've actually did a podcast on overlanding with veggies. What are the options? How many things? And it's funny, there is so much out there that we just don't do because we think it's not as easy as slapping a piece of meat on the fire. But there's some pretty easy things that you can do. I enjoy it. So listen, I want to change the subject here a little bit. Sorry, man. I'm quite excited. Tell me about your tires. What are you running on your vehicle?
I've got Bridgestone on the vehicle. I've got 33 inch. I know the Australians love their 35s. I think if you have 33s on your vehicle, the wife usually drives the vehicle. But in SA, the 33s is your typical size for the 80 series, I think, especially when you're doing touring. If you are building a vehicle for crawling and for a weekend warrior kind of thing,
yes,
then I don't think you will have a problem with the 35s. But as soon as you want to start touring, the 35s will just have a big impact on your fuel consumption. So currently I'm running full muds on the vehicle. On the verge of looking at new tires, and it's a difficult option, Anton, because you're ranging between 3,000 Rand per tire up to 5,500 Rand per tire, and it's difficult to warrant that kind of difference between the tires. So a big overlander once told me, when prior to him doing a 3-month tour, he buys the cheapest mud terrains he can before every trip, and when he finishes his 3-month tour, he takes it off and he moves it back onto all-terrain tires when he travels during town.
Wow.
And if you think about that, that actually makes sense, because for 3 months, you're not going to run through brand new mud terrains because the gaps are just too big.
Yes.
So, yes, I'm between two brands currently, looking at Cooper's SCTs and General Grabbers, the X3s. But it's a difficult choice, and it's quite expensive. So, always going for sick brand new tires, because I've got 2 on the rear.
Yes.
And I work them in rotation with the other 4. So the back ones on the rear will always go to the front, and then the whole set will just reverse like that. But
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you know what happens? I used to travel with one spare wheel always, and then when we went to go and do the hell near Oudtshoorn, and I lost the tire, spare wheel got on, and then I got punches. I got 2 punches in my one wheel, and I got such a fright, because all the vehicles that I'm traveling with is Hilux buckies, so they can do rotation with their vehicles amongst themselves. But due to the size of my tire, I just realized you can't take any chances by just traveling with one tire. Doesn't matter if you're doing the Tonka or any big old trip. If I lose one tire, I'm out of the game almost. So I need to travel with minimum two tires on the vehicle.
That's interesting. I mean, I'm a big fan of Cooper, I must admit. I mean, I don't think I'm shy about telling anyone I'm a huge fan of Cooper. I did all the research around Cooper, BFG, General Grabbers, Falcon, and a few others. And I ended up having a really good chat, and I did a vlog with Andre Brandt, who's the tech oak for Cooper, and he lives in Cape Town.
No, I saw that.
He's really knowledgeable and puts it out there that you decide. And to me, I looked at the size of tires to what Defender came out with, which is 235 75 16-inch, and I was like, well, I guess they keep that size for a specific reason. By going bigger in a Defender, you can't really. I had a guy give me a set of Coopers, actually, Cooper didn't decide on them, but they were given to me. They were 285s, and they kept hitting inside my wheel arch every time I would hit a big bump. But they were the mud terrains, and I must tell you, these tires were as robust as you can get. I could not screw these tires up. I hit huge bumps. I was in the middle of the Kooka land in Namibia. I was we did 7.5 hours. This was the terrain, 7.5 hours to do 300 kilometers in first, second, and third low range gear. That's what the terrain was like. And I just could
tough.
not screw these tires up. I mean, Henry, I tried. There was no way. I nearly hit giraffe. I nearly hit a few different animals, but these tires were as robust as you can get. And I'm sitting with I'm using the ST Maxes, the all terrain. And this is the second set that I have, and I completely love these tires. I have never ever had a problem with these tires.
Yeah, when the Cooper STTs came out, they were definitely my first choice. It is then when I saw the General Grabbers, I think it's the X3s. I saw it on one of my mates' vehicles, and the robustness of it just looks amazing. And you know, honestly, I'm not that very much technical on the tire side of things. From a tire size perspective, you can't go anything smaller than 33-inch tires on the 80 series cruiser. It will just look way too small. The 80 series got big wheel arches. I think you can fit on 35s on it without really doing any big body lifts on it.
Yeah,
I know you need to change gear ratios and a few kind of stuff on it to accommodate the bigger tire. I think the 33s are the perfect size for the 80 series. 32s are just way too small for the wheel arches. I think it can easily fit 35s on it. It is just a case of you're going to have to do a few changes when fitting 35s on it, upgrading or changing your gear ratios. I'm very happy with the 33s on the 80, and honestly, it's a big vehicle. So everything it's loud on it. It's a lot of metal that travels. So no problem at all with that size. So if you look at, I think it's the old Troopies. Look at the tire size, the little biscuit, or was it the Land Rover? That little biscuits they had on, and they travel all over the show with that little biscuits on it.
Yeah. Well, you know, I was talking about this yesterday to Jamal from Kuwait, and you know, there's a lot of misperception about tires, and when you drop tire pressure, you only gain about 20% in the length, not the width. So everyone thinks that if you go for the bigger tire, it goes wider when you drop tire pressure. It doesn't. It's the other way around. You actually get length, and that's really what you want. I mean, I ended up putting spacers on my vehicle for just to get a better turning circle because it's horrendous, but also just to get a little bit of an extra grip on the sides while driving on dirt road, you know, because corrugation in South Africa dirt roads is pretty bad. In fact, most dirt roads except for Namibia. So I'm a big listen. If you can fit 35s, I would say go for it. I mean, those tires are awesome. And looking at your vehicle the way that it is, you're right. It looks normal. It doesn't look overkill. You know, and I think that's where some people go wrong is they try and get the biggest, baddest, nastiest tires, but then they have to get a lift kit, then they have to get extensions, and then use suspension. It's just such an extra cost. I don't think it's worth it.
No, Anton, as you know, this little thing that I'm driving is a 4.5 petrol carburetor. So imagine I put the 35s on, and we go and do Kuukulan, as we are planning to do Kuukulan now in September. But I will probably lose a kilometer or perhaps 2 kilometers per liter if I just bump it up to 35s. And if you're doing a 6,000, 7,000 kilometer touring, that has quite a impact on your petrol budget.
A very big impact. I can tell you, when I had those 285s on, I lost about 50 kilometers on a full tank.
Wow.
Which is a lot. Yeah, I definitely had to use my my jerry cans more, and it was pretty epic. It was a real game changer for me. Going, hang on a minute, I'm not going to make. I'm not. I don't think I'm going to keep these tires. So okay, yeah.
No, I think it's very much the same with the weight of the vehicle as well. We all love adding mods to the vehicles, but every piece of equipment you put on that vehicle, it has a direct impact on your fuel consumption, and tires are the biggest component of it.
Correct. Okay, so let's move on quickly because I know time is of the essence here. So your favorite, and your wife's favorite, and most used equipment on your vehicle.
Bottle openers that I have rivet to the front of my bumper and to my rear bumper. So I've got 2 bottle openers on both my bumpers that I rivet on. And it is always just nice when stopping, getting a cold one and opening it on the bumpers. And honestly, the second thing that I really love on my vehicle, R&D Off-Road build a nice console, a middle console for me. It's almost as a double acting as a safe as well. And what is nice about this, and I will actually share a photo with you guys, is that it's quite high. It's not your typical metal console that is really, if you sit straight up, you need to lean to the left to put your elbow on it. This is quite high. So when I'm driving, my elbow almost rests quite high on it. And it's quite extremely comfortable when doing long hauls. So
okay,
yeah,
that's pretty comfortable. I mean, and as you know, driving long distance is you want complete comfort.
Yes, and again, it comes to comfort. Everything around our vehicle, easy access, comfort. Adding to one of my favorites, best things on the vehicle is our kitchenette. We've got a bush kitchenette on the side of one of the coal wings that we installed. And because we used to travel with our whole kitchenette in like most people do, in a black ammo box. It's on the roof. So when we stop for lunch, now my wife wants coffee. Now I have to take it off, look for the gas. It all just becomes hassle. And as you know, as soon as you start traveling 2 weeks, 3 weeks in one go, it becomes really. Then you start considering, oh hell, do you really want to have coffee because I need to carry all the stuff across? So we install a kitchenette on the passenger side in one of the gull wings, and now she loves it because water is accessible, everything's accessible, quick and easy. So for us, every modification we put on the vehicle, we look at how can we simplify our life, and if it doesn't work, then I'll leave it at home. Rather go simple and with less stuff. And again, as you know, the SUVs, the 80 series doesn't have the packing space that your normal utility, the Hilux buckies have, because those guys can just pack so much in it. But running with a SUV, 4 people, you're limited for space. So we need to think clearly the gear that we're running with and the mods that I'm putting on the vehicle.
That's very true. So I mean, I have a big thing about the power of one. You have to be able to do it once. So if you want to get something, it must happen once or maybe twice, depending on how often you use it. So the power of one is a very, very big deal. So another quick one. Groove or round top 10? Groove. Groove, that's a new one. A groove or round top. I'm gonna market that.
Okay.
Roof or ground tent?
It depends. Honestly, I prefer rooftop tents. But I've convinced them. I've been moving away from your traditional dome tent, and I've got a pop-up tent, and that thing, my friend, works like a dream. So so how we run is that Mom and myself will sleep in the rooftop tent, and the boys will be in the pop-up tent under the awning. So mornings is a quick setup. But again, it depends on the kind of trip, because the discussion that we always have is every trip that you take, a percentage of your gear will change. So if you're going to do 2 week on the go trip, rooftop tent all the way. But if you're going to stand in the Kalahari at the Rooipit for a week or 2 weeks, then you don't have a choice. Then you will have to go with dome tents, because you want to do 3 game drives a day or 4 game drives a day. And you don't want for a week or 2 weeks to drop a rooftop tent every morning and every afternoon. So again, it depends on the kind of trip that you will take. But if you have to hold me to it, I'll definitely prefer a rooftop tent.
Okay, all right, that's very cool. And then lastly, listen, which is your? I think we were trying to talk yesterday, but let's do a refresher. Your standard go-to when you go overlanding is preferred to be in the Tankwa type of area, which is slightly hilly but not so bushy. Is that correct?
I love everything remoteness, brother. So desert, desert is my first choice. Been to the Namib Desert last year, and I was blown away. Honestly, I was blown away by the beauty of it. But the Tankwa is the Karoo. I love the Karoo. Love Van, the openness of Van. So anything remote. I'm not a big, as a family, we're not a big fan of traveling to places where it's overcrowded. I try to stay away from that.
Yes.
The purpose why we're traveling is to travel to remote places and show the family, and especially the boys, the beauty of open spaces and of nothing. So that is why Van is one of our favorite places to visit. But yes, anything remote. So if it means that, I know you love Drakensberg. So if it's in the Drakensberg or that area, and it's remote and it's not overcrowded, then we're happy to travel.
Very good, very good. And listen, Henry, I want to say thank you very much. And folks, I'm going to put Henry's social media handles in the subscription below. You can find him on YouTube, and you can find him on Instagram quite easily. He's got a fantastic young family. Keep an eye out on these guys. They're really going places. And I really appreciate the time that you've given me, Henry. And I know we tried yesterday. It didn't really work out well. But, everyone thought lockdown was going to be a little bit more chilled, and it actually turned out to be the opposite. So I think if you keep plugging at it, you're going to go very nice and far. I think what you're doing and the way you're doing it is fantastic. And thank you again for the time. And I look forward to catching up in a few months and finding out how you've progressed. And obviously after the lockdown, that's going to make a big difference. So thanks again, Henry, and blessings to you and the family.
Fantastic. Anton, thanks for the time. And when we're done with this lockdown, we definitely have to go and take a few cold beers there, brother.
Sounds fantastic, dude. I'm going to wait. I can't wait to look at a proper mountain where there's the fewest amount of people around me.
No, Andres.
I honestly think, in fact, my wife made a very funny comment. This whole lockdown was developed by... what are they? Oh, it's gone straight up my head. Another word gone up my head. Jeez, I'm not having a good morning this morning. I need another cup of tea, man. Listen, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks very much for your time, Henry.
Okay, brother. Keep well. Stay safe out. Cheers.